Health Education Lecture Series. All the listeners of Health Education Lecture Series, I'm your host, Gurdeep Singh Sandhu, homeopathic consultant. My clinic address is 9701 Sarah N. Court, Dublin, California, 94568. My phone number is 408 687 1899. And I'm here to deliver another lecture of health education lecture series. But as you know, I'm delivering all these lectures systematically in three languages. And today we are starting the new chapter. First of all, the first chapter was that how this life originated from ovum and sperm and developed inside the mother's womb. After that, how he comes out from the mother's womb, and after that, a new life was started. That was the second phase of this life, of these lecture series. And ultimately, this life developed from newborn life up to the adult age. But when it reaches up to the adult age, a portion remains that what were the basic units? What are the basic units of this life with which it is constructed? Though sperm and ovum were discussed as a haploid cells, and ultimate they meet each other and then they become a single cell, and then they start developing. But basically, what is in a single cell, we do not know that. And today, I will try to explain you all this thing, that what a cell has, the components. What components are composing one cell in easy language. Today, this lecture will be in English, and after that, next day, it will be in Punjabi and Hindi. One by one, every day, we are repeating this thing and changing the language so that every person who understand English, whosoever English understand Punjabi or Hindi, they can very well understand the purpose of these lectures, and they can understand very well what I am conveying in these lectures to all my community peoples who are listening all these lectures regularly. So, as I told you, this body, now the adult body, because after the complete journey of this life, from how the ovum was formed, how the sperm was formed, how they travel, how they meet each other, where they meet each other, then how the life was going in a combinations, and then what was the sex of this new originations, and ultimately everything step by step I have described you in many months with these lectures. And ultimately, when we come to the adult age, now the child, now the new life, this has become adult. And when we say the adults, again, it needs that what are the basic units of this body? What are that's known as the cell. Ultimately, the cell is the building block of this body. But there are different cells. Trillions of cells are used to make this body, and they are increasing day by day, because all the organs are increasing in size. And I told you in my previous lectures that after these cells, when cells is different, because cell has their different categories, wherever they needs to be used, they change their shape. I will tell you how. Who is responsible for changing the shape of the cells? In joints, in eyes, in round shape, in lungs, and wherever. It may be a bone cell, it may be a muscle cell, it may be a nerve cell, it may be other different kinds of cells they are used for. So they have their different shapes, and but the cell is the same. The block, the single unit, the minimum unit for making this body is the same, and that is known as a cell. And that cell, I will describe today and their functions, because most of the diseases of the human bodies are originating from its basic cell, from its basic unit, because the basic unit is responsible for any change from health to sickness, from sickness back to health. And what are the components? What are the components which are responsible for making this change from health to disease, sickness, and from sickness to disease? Because what type of function is lost, what type of function in the life is damaged, it depends on that. And then we have to figure it out, what type of function in the cell is carried out by what component, because there are many more components in the cell. And so every component has its own responsibility to originate a life. And when their competency of that part is not discharged normally, it means it shows some deficiency in the formation of the life and the normal go of life. And that, in the bigger shape of our body, we see as a symptom, that these are the symptoms produced, and we diagnose and we give name to that disease. And basically we know that the actually function which was not carried out normally is in the beginning building blocks of the cell. And in the cell, not only the whole cell is damaged, it has a particular type of organelles of the cells, part of the cells you can say, which were responsible for discharging the normal duty of that kind of disease, so that that disease should not come up and the function should be carried out normally. And the function of the body is not normal, that's why we say it's sick. So in this way, when we will come to know about the cell and its function and its contents basically, then it will be very easily at a broad spectrum and the whole body, that what type of diseases are produced by the what type of damages in one cell. And today's lecture will be a basic lecture for that informations. So first of all, I would like to tell you all that this cell has a different shapes, and the cells unites to form an organ. Basically, before the organ, you can say the tissues. Yeah, there is one another step that you can say. When the cells unites of different kind of cells, making it round, making it straight, making it angular, triangular, whatever. So different shape of cells unites to form an organ, just like the liver. Whatever type of the liver is, you know that. Whatever the type of the stomach is, you know that. Whatever the type of brain and eyes and all that, these are formed by the cell, and the contents of the cell are same or similar in each cell, but the shape is changed to form a different kind of organs: eyes, nose, liver, kidney, stomach, because their shapes are different. To make a round, to make a long, to make a high and make a wide, all that some, for the different kind of structure they are forming, the shape of the cells are changed. That is why they make an organs. So before making that organs, different kind of cells, round, long, and pinched, different kind of cells are taking shape, that's known as tissues. When a group of different kind of cells are uniting together and forming a shape, they are known as tissues. A round, because a cell is the smallest unit. We can see it in the microscope. It's not visible openly. A single unit of the cell is not visible openly by the open eyes. Therefore, it is a so small, tiny particle which we can see only in the microscopes. And if we can see that in the microscope, you can well imagine that for formation of a visible organ, for formation of the visible organs, we need millions of cells. We need millions of cells to give shape to an organ. It means when a different kind of cells or shape, you can say, unites together, those group of different kind of cell is known as tissues. So tissues make the structures in a different shape, round, long, fatty, or round, whatever the shape of the organ they are forming. So this is a group of cells. When the group of similar type of cells unites, they form a tissue, group of tissue. There are different kind of tissues. We will tell you later on whatever these are. And ultimately, when these kind of different shape tissues, some of tissues are with the round cells, some of the tissues are made from the long type shape of cells. In this way, these tissues unites together, different kind of tissues unite together to form the organs. I can repeat it so that you can understand. This is the basic unit from where the disease starts. Any disease starts from the cell organelles. Cells are responsible. Cells are changing. Cells are in problems. And what type of problems to what type of organelles inside the cell is representing the disease in the in the broad spectrum of our body. That is why I'm giving more stress on this one. That the cell of different shape unites together and form a tissue. Organ at one point is turning and making round. So round type of cells are uniting to form tissues, and the maximum tissues are uniting to form that part of the organs. And then different kind of cells, the long cells, also unite to make a organ long, and their group is also a different type of yeah, you can say the tissues. So different kind of tissues, I will tell you, the bone tissues, squamous cell, epitheliums, and all that. There are different kind of things I will tell you. So ultimately the tissues formed a group and play a role in the formation of the organs. And there are different organs inside the body. And a systematic arrangement of some type of organs forms a system, just like we say the digestive system. Mouth is a part of the digestive system. Pharynx is a part of the digestive system. Esophagus is part of the digestive system. Stomach, intestines, small intestine, large intestines, then the rectum and anus, all these are the part of the digestive system. It means all these different parts are made up of different kind of tissues, and to give them shape, round shape, long shape, just like the intestine is long and also it is round as well. So there are different kind of tissues are used, which has different shape of the cells, and ultimately a system is created. Just like I told you about the digestive system inside the body. And the same way, if I talk about the other system, the nervous system or the easily understanding, you can say the circulatory system. The circulatory system forms heart, and then blood vessels. The blood vessels means the arteries and veins, and arterioles, venules, and ultimately they are again transported back to the veins, that is known as venules. From venules to veins, to veins to the again to the heart. So in this way, a system is complete. But you know, heart is of different shape, blood vessels, arteries are of different shape, veins are of different shape, their structures is different, and ultimately there are ultimate arterioles, venules. These are the tiny parts of these blood vessels, and they need a tiny type of cells of the different shape, and different shape is combined to form a tissue, and the tissue unites to form an organs, arteries, veins, heart, and all that. So these are the organs of circulations. In this way, there are about 9 systems working inside the body: bone, muscles, intestine, I told you, urinary system, and female, male genital systems. In this way, 9 systems are our secretory systems, excretory systems. 9 systems are working inside this body, and all the 9 systems are composed of different organs, and all the different organs are made up of different type of tissues, and all the tissues are made up of different shape of cells, but ultimately contents of the cells are the same, but of different shape. Everything is there, but in a different shape in each part of the tissue, and each part of the organs, and each part of the system working inside the body, they are different shape. So mean the ultimate building block of our body is the cell, and cell is not only the cell. It's not like bricks. We are making the house. There is a difference. Though bricks are making the house, and bricks are bricks, we consider it non-living parts, whereas the cells are the living part of our body. Means those who can regenerate himself, those can regenerate and grow in a systematic way, those are known as living beings. So our body cells are living beings, that they can change according to the position, they can change according to the demand, and they can function according to the demand as well. But their content is the same. They are made up of the content, or the organelles working inside that, they are the same. So come to the basic point, that a cell is composed of some organelles, and today I will give you a structural information about the cell. Just see, in a fort, we are entering in a fort, and we are outside. Just see, a cell is a fort, and outside what we see, the outer wall of the fort, and cell has the similar wall, outer wall, and that is known as cell membrane, or sometimes it's called plasma membrane because of its formation. It's made up of plasma, and or is known as cell membrane, And this plasma membrane is made up of protein and fat, lipids. Protein and lipids are composed in a, different way that they form a wall type. And wall means something is composed inside. There is a boundary of anything, just like the fort I told you, the house, you can say that. The same way, we are talking about the cell, and the cell has a boundary outside. Just like fort wall, it has a boundary wall. And that boundary wall is known as cell membrane. It's also considered as plasma membrane. And this plasma membrane is a double layered. If someone has gone to the jails, because I was Unite General Secretary of the Akali Dal, and I was going many times in the jails, and I have seen that there are two walls, because there was my jail journeys. There are many more books of my jail journeys, notebooks filled with that one. And in one of the notebook, I noted that there are two walls. One is inner wall, the other one is at a distance of about 20 feet. The second wall, the outer wall, and their height is different. Inner wall and outer wall, his height is different, and in between there is a passway. And the same way, these membranes or the cell wall has two layered formation. I told you it's made up of the this double layer protein and the lipids, fat, just like bricks and the cement. The same way, it is protein and lipids, and it has two layers. In between the two layers, everywhere there are organs. Everywhere, everything, whatever is composed, the nature has covered it separately, and coverings are always having two layers. The outer layer is known as parietal layer, which deals with the outside things. Whatever is coming inside, the coming to enter into the cell. And the inner layer, what is going inside the cell from the inner layer, or what's going outside from the cell, are tackled with these two membranes. Now you can well imagine, if cell membrane, and that in between these two cells there is a fluid, so that there should not be any friction. There should not be any friction of the cell when the cell is moving, because it's continuously moving. It's just like the pendulum of the wall clock. It's continuously moving, constriction, enlarging, constriction, enlarging, and ultimately there should not be any friction. So nature has put some fluid of that lipids, so that there should not be any friction in between these two. So now this layer as a whole, because though it's a two membrane, but even then it's a one, you can say, wall. An inner and outer layer, they compose the one wall of the cell, and that one wall of the cell has responsibility. First thing, if we need a long cell, it is constricted and it becomes long. Who is constricted? Everything inside has to move according to the outer shell. The outer shell makes its shape as per the requirement, just like a mason or carpenter use any block or any bricks according to the situations of the wall or whatever they are constructed. In the same way, wherever a cell is required, and what type of cell it needs over there, it makes the shape of the cell according to that. And not only one, millions of cells, hundreds of cells are used in this way with the same shape. Again, remember it. The inner content does not change. Inner content does not change, and the shape of the cell is changed according to the demand of the situations. One thing means the outer shape, it is responsible to make the outer shape of the cell. Second thing, it's a type of sensitive and selective sense. It has a selective sense. And remember, what is required inside by the cell, it may allow from the outside to enter into the cell, or whatever is excess inside the cell or is wastage inside the cell, the inner side of the membrane will allow it to pass outside. Very easily to understand that what will go from outside, what is allowed to go from outside to inside the cell, or what is allowed to go from inside to outside of the cell. And this one is responsible, custom department. Just like the custom department will check up everything, whether or not this person is required to enter in our country or not, whether this person is allowed to go out of the country or not. The same way, the cell membrane is responsible for that. Now, you can well imagine, if something is required inside the body and this cell membrane is damaged, is not working normally, and it is not allowing this thing to go inside. Very easy to understand. Sometimes you say, doctor say, oh, you have a iron deficiency. Oh, you have vitamins deficiency. You have a this and that deficiency. And that deficiency is producing symptoms in a broad spectrum in the body. But where is the damage? Where is the defect? Defect is that the cell membrane, though everything, food material, whatever you are eating, the same food material is taken by the other members of the family, and one of them has deficiency of iron, one of them has deficiency of any minerals, and that shows the sign outside the body. Just like we can check iron, we can check sodium deficiency and all that. It means this membrane is defective. And this membrane, how it works? It works like a permeability. That is known as, just like you can make decoctions, and just like tea, and you press the tea or the milk butter, and you press it, and if you press more, even the thick things from the tea or from the buttermilk will go inside, will be filtered. But if you do not press it, it will not filter. It will filter only the small amount of that one, that liquids. And ultimately, this is the function of this cell, that it works as a custom department, whether or not it will allow any substance to enter into the cell or to go out of the cell or not. Even though it is circulating inside the blood. You are taking a food, you are eating everything, the same food is taken by the other family members. They are not having a particular type of deficiency of iron or protein or minerals, whatever. It is because that cell membrane is not working properly. It's not allowing to enter those substances into the cell to utilize them. That is why the cell shows the deficiency. Not only the one, cell. In a large spectrum, we see the deficiency. Oh, you have iron deficiency. you have protein deficiencies, and all these things. So the first thing, suppose another example I can give you. You see a person is having swelling somewhere, and we consider there is some deposition that of garbage, you can say. It should have come out from the cell, and the cell membrane is not competent to let it go out of the cell because of some damages, because of damages means pressure. The cell works due to pressure. That pressure is known as permeability. And with the permeability, when this is a less pressure in the permeability, anything from the cell will not go out, will remain inside the cell, and ultimately it will show up deposited somewhere as a swelling. As a swelling, it shows up. But sometimes doctor says, no, you have a proteinemia. Means deficiency of proteins. It means whatever diet you are taking, that diet was having sufficient protein because all the members of the family are taking the same food, but your body or your cell membrane is not allowing that protein to go into the cell to be used normally, and it is still circulating into the blood. Or in this way, we can differentiate the swelling, whether it is swelling of a deposition, whether it is a swelling of a deficiencies. If proteins are less, swelling is a different kind. If there's the remnant portion of the liquid should come out, that is a swelling of different kinds. So all these type of things, when you see in a body swelling, what type of swelling? Is it a proteinemia type of swelling? Is it a swelling like bulging out, bulky, just like a water filled in the bag? So you can just well imagine that somewhere in this part of that, the cell membranes are having this kind of a problem, that it is not working under normal permeability pressure, because everything from one cell to the other cell goes by the permeability, means a pressure. And from cell, when the cell is tight, it is filled up everything. Ultimately, the pressure inside the cell will increase, and ultimately it will push out whatever it is inside, will come out. In this way, the first thing I told you about this membrane, if bulk is increased anywhere inside the body, if remnant portion or the waste products of the body which was supposed to come out is not coming out properly and is showing up deposited in some of the organ. Basically, one thing more, it's not only in one organ. Just like you see sometimes the swelling under the eyes, it's not only in the swelling here, but this is some visible part where it is more visible and you can see that. But this thing happens in all over the body. Remember it, all over the body, because the body is working as a single unit. All the cells unites and work together familiarly, and whatever happens to one cell, it does not mean that it is not happening to the other, though the ratio of its extent changes, just like in case of death in the family. And nearest and dearest has more sadness, and the relatives are far away, they are having less. The same way, one system, first of all, one organ, and after that, one system is damaged, and everything will go to the damages system. And ultimately, the damages system, because they are working collectively, it will be shifted to the other organs as well. Problem of the hearts are shifted to the kidney, or the problems of the kidneys are ultimately shifted to the heart symptoms. In this way, they are relatively working with each other. Problems of the heart are shifted to the lungs, and problems of the lungs are shifted to the heart. In this way, problems of the abdomen, gas formation, whatever is concerned with the lungs, and lungs problem is also concerned with the abdominal problems. So all these things are happening because all the systems are working collectively together with each other. But whatever sign and symptoms you see, let's come to the point. Whatever sign and symptoms you see in one organs, it indicates that some of the deposit which was supposed to go out is not going out because of the defect in the membrane, or membranes are working under pressure. If the pressure is less, it's not going out. If the pressure outside is more, it will press more things into the cells. So this is what we have to certify. We have to identify that what's going on, why there is a swelling. But the main target, who is the main target? That is the cell membrane, because it's a permeable membrane. Means things can go through this membrane into the cell or out of the cells. And if means it's a type of selective transportation. Selective transportation means whether or not this thing is allowed to go in or to go out. It depends upon this selection of the membranes. And membrane decides all these things, and membrane decide according to the pressure. So in this way, this is all because of that. So outer shape, the first thing, this membrane is made up of double layer of protein and lipid. This layer gives the shape to the cell. In different places and different type of cells are required, so it makes the outer shape of the cell, but the inner contents remains the same. Does not mean if it is becoming long, the content will change. No, inside the content will remain the same. And also about its working, that it works under the pressure, outside of the cell pressure and inside the cell pressure. It is only for the you can say this is the main point by which this cell is working, the main energy, you can say, by which this cell is working. Okay, so shape of the cell is responsible. This membrane is responsible for the shape outside. This membrane is responsible for the transportation out and inside to the cells. And also it tries to save the inner organelles of the cell from outside injury. This is what I told you, the routine from the food, digestion, circulating into the blood, goes through the cells. How it goes through the cell, it depends on the pressure. And ultimately, the same way, if there is an injury, that membrane also try to protect the internal organs of the cell, organelles, whatever is inside that one. Now, come to the second point. The other one is the cytoplasm. The whole content inside this membrane is known as cytoplasm. Easy to understand? Whole content inside this fourth wall of the cell is known as cytoplasm. And that cytoplasm is a, you can say, jelly type substance. A jelly type, but it is liquid. Jelly type, semi-solid type liquid, and this is the main responsible party to maintain the metabolic quality of the cell. What is coming from outside, what is going from inside to outside, all that one, it makes the balance. And this cytoplasm membrane, the cytoplasm content as a whole, inside there are many more organelles. They are you can say the contents of this cytoplasm. just like the nucleus, mitochondria, centrosome, endoplasmic reticulum. There are many more things inside the cells. They are doing different functions inside the cell, and for the life. So this, as a whole content, is known as cytoplasm, and it is maintaining. If the cytoplasm is not normal, metabolic rate may decline, may increase. Some people becomes fatty, some people becomes thin, marasmic type. All this depends upon the contents inside the cytoplasm. Means its constitution, its construction, you can say, how it is formed. Okay, what type of jelly? Is it a liquid jelly? Is it little solid jelly? Is it thick jelly? Whatever. So it changes the shape, contents, all that one, and the metabolic rate of the cell depends upon this cytoplasmic content. So this cytoplasm, as a whole, everything inside the cell membrane is known as cytoplasm. And this whole cytoplasm has, just like in the house, I can explain you. Just like in one house, there is a kitchen. We know what we do there. We cook everything. There is a living room, what we know what we're doing there. There is a bedroom, we know what we are doing over there. So every organelles inside this cell membrane is a part of cytoplasms, just like in the home, cytoplasm, and every part or every organelles inside this cytoplasm is performing different functions for the cell. And all together they are functioning. How competent they are, how less competent they are, that known as metabolism, that known as what we earn and what we lose, what we lost, all that one, metabolic rate. So combined metabolic rate of total body is a different thing, but that depends upon each one cell of the body. What's the ratio of the cell metabolic rates? That ultimately, at a large scale, we see that the metabolic rate, what it is, and how this body is developing, how this body is decreasing or increasing in bulk or functions, all that, or activities. All that depends upon this cytoplasm, its contents inside that one. So again, I'll repeat it. It's a jelly type substance. Cytoplasm is the whole total content is considered as cytoplasm inside the cell membrane, and it is responsible for maintaining the metabolic rate of the body, or to control, you can say, the metabolic rate of the body. And there are many more organelles. We will describe it now. There are many more organelles inside that cytoplasm. Just like you can say they are moving, just like the fishes. Easy example: fishes are moving in water. There are crocodiles, there are fishes, there are many other things are in the water, and they are doing their own place. The same way, this cytoplasm inside the membrane, cell membrane, has various kinds of organelles, and they are responsible for performing a different type of duty. Now we will come to the whatever the duty, what organs are doing that, and from where we can understand easily that if any disease symptoms are represented on the body, where it is, from where it is, what is the origin of that one. And if we will be able to correct that one, then easily we will be able to cure the disease. So that's easy. So second thing, The big organelle, the big thing in, just like in the house, we have a kitchen. Many things. The more activity is going on in the kitchens. Without a kitchen, nobody will run. Okay, and no house will run without the kitchen. So ultimately, the nucleus. Everybody knows about the nucleus. In any other criterias, when they say the nucleus, it means the actually content, the actually responsible party, that is known as nucleus. And in a cell, there is a nucleus. This nucleus again has a layer, and that is having a double layer wall. Means it has a separate wall of its own, just like all the organelles are having separate boundaries. The same way, the nucleus is the biggest particle, biggest organelle inside the cell, and this nucleus is having also a cell wall. Mostly, all the organelles are having their own wall. That is why they are bounded. That's why they are bounded in a shape. And if they are not having a boundary, then there will be no shape. Cytoplasm is the total content, and these are the part of that content. With the jelly-like substance, they are moving inside. They are moving from here to there inside in the cells according to the demand or shape of the cell. As the shape changes of the cell, the same way these organelles change their shape inside the cell, but their function remains same. They work accordingly the same way. And ultimately, we are talking about the nucleus. This is also a double layered organelle. And the biggest organ you can say inside the cell. A biggest organ inside the cell is known as the nucleus. So just like at your home, you have a secret area, safe area, wherever you can deposit your organelles, where you can deposit your costly things, jewelries and everything. And the same way, this nucleus is a type of that safe inside a house where you can preserve your old things, costly things. And what's costly, what's old? That is the genetic part. And genetic part is stored inside the nucleus. It's a double layer organelles, the biggest organelle. Though the whole cell is a microscope. Again, I will repeat it. The whole cell is a microscopic organelles, but I'm saying inside the microscopic vision, we see the cell and we see there are many more organelles inside that, but the biggest organelles inside the cell is the nucleus. And we see that. And this is also have a double layer to protect it. The inner substances should remain safe. Inner substances should remain for a longer period over there. There should not be any damages. Mostly, it is not damaged by the other changes inside the cytoplasm or the other changes in the cells. This is the last part of the cell to be damaged. And just like in medical jurisprudence, we read that if we found a dead body and no other sign, we see that, but ultimately we see a prostate, we see a uterus. These are the two organs which dissolves very lately, which dispersed very lately, take a long time. Their even the heart, their membrane, their formation structure is that hard that they do not dissolve easily. And from the uterus and the prostate, because heart is the same thing, uterus and prostate, we can identify that this body will belong to this sex. In this way, I'm talking about the nucleus. This nucleus is the largest organelles inside the cytoplasm or inside the cell, and it is the costal structure. It is preserving the costal things of the cell. That is the genetics, from where our ancestors were, what was their characteristics, height, structure, everything. Most of the things are preserved in this nucleus in the form of chromosomes. In the form of chromosomes. When we were talking about the chromosomes, I told you about that one. Let's come to that point. So this nucleus is the preserver of chromosomes. And also, not only this one, under guidance of this chromosomal history back, it controls all the functions of the cell as well, present and the past. They are correlated. Hey, what type of nature of these community is, what type of the nature of their parents was, and the same thing is being transported in the new generations. In this way, many of the characteristics of the previous generations are preserved in the nucleus in the shape of chromosomes, and they are transmitted, or they are you can say the exposed to the new era. In this way, this is a save for the previous generations, that their character and their everything is stored inside that one. You might have heard about that. Now they are searching some old graves. Thousands of years back, they are searching the graves, and they are finding out their DNA from the different areas of the globe, and they are matching it, which shows that there was migration from the north to south, from south to north, from east to west, like that. When the migration was going on since many million years back, it was continuous, and even still it's going on. We are coming from India to western zone. In this way, the most of the peoples are going to here to other countries, and like that, when this migration was going on, and those dna DNA collected from the old graves from thousands and thousands years back, it is resolves that their DNA matches with the community living at this time in what area of the word. And this way we can easily figure it out, that if they matches with those, it means their ancestors were living sometimes here, and their next generation has moved from here to the other things. So this is what a very costly thing, to preserve their ancestors characteristics. That nucleus plays a role in that one. And the you can say the after this, the main responsibility of this nucleus to preserve the characteristic of the previous generations. And also I can say this color, how we can identify it separately from the cytoplasm and from the other organs, though it's in a big size. I told you about the other organelles and this nucleus. How we can say that this is nucleus? Because it has double word, but it has a you can say the thick color. You can say the uh, uh, this its color is different from all the other organelles, from all the cytoplasms contents inside the cell. It has a different colors. It has a color which shows that, oh, separately, that we see, just like in the sea, if you see any boat sailing in that one, and you could say, oh, that's a boat, that's different from the water. The same way, this nucleus is visible inside the cell. When you go inside the cell under microscopes, we can see this nucleus. It's individually characterized that this is the nucleus. And two main things I told you about the nucleus. The one thing is that is a double walled. Second thing is the largest organelles inside the cell. Third is it's a different color from the other cytoplasm inside the inside the cells. Third, the responsibility of this nucleus is to preserve the characteristic of the previous generations, the genetics. That is known as chromosomes. Any chromosomes history, and to preserve that one is responsibility of this one, nucleus. So we preserve all these things. If ever there be any genetic problems, now again come to that point. If you see any problems genetically, suppose if a person goes to the doctor and say a patient is of cancer, and they, do you have any history of your ancestors having cancer? Or if person is having any heart attack, do you have any history of your family members having this kind of problems of heart attack or this and that, even in the arthritis and all that, or even in the autoimmune diseases? We try to ask all these questions at that time. And that's why it means if these are related to the previous generation, it means it is all preserved in the nucleus, and where it is preserved, there is a change in the chromosomes. So pattern of the chromosomes, if it is changed, their structure, if it is changed, their structure, if it is defective, it shows that some of the diseases are traveling from the previous generation to the next generations. That's why now the doctor has reached to the conclusions that some of the diseases are transmitted from generation to the other generations in this way. And where is the responsibility lies? That lies in the chromosomes. Where these chromosomes lies, they lies into the nucleus of the cell. So ultimately, now we are trying to eradicate, to wash out, to clean up all these things, if ever. And man, science is trying to eradicate all these things so that the genetically transmitted diseases should not be bothering the other generation, just like diabetes, cancer, heart attacks, gout, all these things. If they are traveling, lupus, if they are autoimmune diseases, if they are traveling from one generation to the other generations, that means the defects are lying in the chromosomes of the nucleus, and that should be eradicated. We are trying to, the medical science is trying to achieve that goal, that all the chromosomes should be cleaned up so that the next generation should not suffer from the similar type of diseases. So what these chromosomes are? These are type of thread, just like our thread. These are type of threads, and these chromosomes are having again tiny substances in that one, where everything is stored, where whatever I have told you from the previous generation to this one, where it is stored. Oh, there is a small box in our safe. There is a house, there is a room, safe room, there is a safe in the safe room. In the safe room there is still one box. Now you can well imagine, and those boxes are known as genes. And in the genes, this everything is preserved. What type of diseases they were suffering, what of the character they were having, what of their type of nature they were having, behaviors, and everything they are having in these genes at that time. And now we are able to find it out, to trace it out. We can trace all these things from the genetic studies, and ultimately it will be easy, ultimate in the future, that we will be able to eradicate all the problems in this way, so that the genetic problems will not travel from generation to generation furthermore. So today our time is going to be completed. We will start this lecture tomorrow in Punjabi, and after that in Hindi. and ultimately I have to describe each and every organelles inside the cell and their responsibilities, what they are doing, what they are responsible for, and if similar type of deficiencies we see inside the body as a disease, we diagnose as a disease, from where it has come up, where the change was, and ultimately the science is trying to find it out. There are various ways to reach God. Just like to reach God, every religion is trying to reach to the gods. Targeted same. Paths are different according to their intelligentsia or their mind. The same way, everything reaches to this exact portion of the cell, that is genes, chromosome to genes. And now we are trying to find it out how we can clean up the genes. So God bless you all. This was our lecture, that these what are the building blocks of this body, and not only building blocks, they are responsible for all the active and defective bodies, have active and defective functions inside the body. And it is very easy to understand. If we understand a cell, it means we understand the diseases, we understand the functions. If it is damaged function, if it is abnormal function outside of our body, ultimately if we go back to trace it back, ultimately we will reach to the genes, we will reach to the cell. And I will tell you, for each and every particle, organelles, we say that organelles of the cell, that how they work, what they work, and if they are damaged, what type of deficiencies, we will see in future. God bless you all. I'm your host, Gurdeep Singh Sandhu, homeopathic consultant. My phone number is 408 687 1899. My email address is homeomedicine, HOMEOMEDICINE at yahoo.com. So anytime you can send me any questions if ever you have regarding your health, and you will get the answer in email. Or if ever you want to talk to me on phone, you can call me at 408 687 1899. If ever, and sometimes I did not pick up the phone, I'm busy with the other lines, you can leave your message, and you can leave your phone, and I will try to contact you later in later times, and will answer your questions as far as possible, as to my understandings. So, Rab Rakha, God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow in Punjabi lectures. Thank you. Bye.